Hi, this is Kim. It's my last video today because today is World Obesity Day. And I wanted to step out today with the 3 videos that I'm doing to hopefully answer some questions for some people that continually ask me if I'm sick or what am I doing or what diet am I on. And it's upsetting at times. And other times I feel like I have answers for some of you to help you. So that's what this was meant for to do today. But first of all, I'm not a doctor of medicine, nor do I have any full evidence of everything that I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to tell you my experience and how it helped me and how it related to my medication and to my treatment. And I will share the research that I found, but I'm still embarrassed about it. It's really hard doing these videos and putting it out there for you. It's embarrassing. It's humbling. It's scary. But I've been encouraged to do that and to step out to help you all understand and hopefully get some help too. Fat bias is real, obviously. You know, these attitudes that I showed in the last video about how it feels being fat on an airplane or when we go to lunch or dinner and those kinds of things, it's very prevalent and people see it. Sometimes people don't see what they're doing and sometimes they do. But our self-image is also driven by the society. Society sees this and we see ourselves looking like this. We think we're supposed to look like this and we're not. But that's what we tell each other. That's what we try to look like because we think this is good looking or this is handsome. And that's what we base it on. And it's just not true. And then we see ourselves and we try to make ourselves feel like this is who we are. And when we see ourselves with this number or we see ourselves, you know, in a group on our own, it's hurtful. It's hurtful. We don't belong. And so we can become a category of our own. And it's really evident that that bias is prevalent in society, that the media helps, our society norms help. You know, the way that we can have oversized meals, the way that our plates are huge now, the way that we, you know, promote eating and unhealthy behaviors is one thing. But the impact of the bias is that obesity and overweight are two different things. Two different things. And I'm not talking about overweight today. Overweight, absolutely, exercise, nutrition, you know, eating healthy meals. You can take care of that. You can work on that. And we need to teach children that. We need physical education and other things for that. Obesity is a different animal. The impact of this bias increases our stress, our anxiety, and my health issues at this point. My low self-esteem, the depression, and the social isolation that happens, people don't always see. People think that things are happy and things are good. And for 34 years of my life, just about, I didn't even know that I had a disease. I was moving along and pretending like everything was okay. When I told people about the isolation, finally, when I was at home, people didn't believe me, but it was very much depression time when I got home. I called it people hangover to make fun, but yeah, embarrassment. And I tried not to, but this was me moving on in life, trying to be myself, but myself was lost in there somewhere. And finally, I had to say, who are you? And I had been on every diet, just like most of you probably. I'd been up and down and up and down and up and down. And I tried everything under the sun, right? I'd lost weight and gained weight and lost weight. And every time I did, it came back. And I finally got to the largest weight I'd ever been. And I was in the low 40s of body fat percent. I was at severe obesity level. My health risks were horrible. And I didn't want to die. I love teaching. I love my students. I have so much to give to them. And they love me anyway. But they look at me and I'm sure they worry. I'm sure they think, how am I not following the same guidelines? And I'm teaching them now. I'm teaching them the difference between obesity. and overweight. I finally found someone and I walked into their office and sat down and just cried. I said, no longer do I want to live like I'm living. I want to make sure that my life changes, and I don't know that anybody can help me. And I found Tanisha Davis. She's obesity medicine board certified. I didn't know what that was. My doctor told me to go see her and go talk to her. And you can see from here, she tells you what her philosophy is and what she thinks and what that means. But I sat down and cried. And she remembers that day today, how hard I was crying and how much I did not believe her of what could happen. But she told me, she said, it's not your fault. And she talked to me about how my body changed once I got to the point of obesity and that it was out of my control at that point. I needed to have some help, just like anybody else with a chronic disease needs help. And so I might need a little more help because of some things. We needed to find the root of why I was at the point that I was. And I told her about some of the things that were really hard for me. Like, I didn't know why I couldn't not eat some things. I couldn't tell her why that this habit or this addiction that I had to eating, how it drove me crazy until I could get it and then eat it, or being afraid that when the next time was going to come that I would eat. And that addiction I hid from people, just like others do with bulimia and anorexia. But it was there. It was so bad I couldn't drive by a fast food store sometimes when I really wanted it. I would turn my head to try my best, that willpower thing they say, to not go. And then I would just have to give up and go get it. And I would eat more than what I needed just because I finally had to go get it to be able to make myself feel better. It reminds me of some sort of a drug addiction. It's got to be what they feel like and how they have to have it before they can see life again on the other side. And that was me. And so she tells me that she wants to help me and she wants me to go see a psychiatrist and a psychologist, that we did some testing and found my depression and anxiety and other things. And I got to talking to a psychologist for a little while, and she started digging in my past, and it was not fun. It was not fun and it was not easy. But we found a lot of things. We found some trauma. We found some other things that, probably put me in some predicaments that's where I turned to, was food. And so it wasn't me just being lazy, like people think. It wasn't me just overeating for the heck of it, like people thought. There were reasons behind it. And that addiction that grew in my brain, because my brain was still growing at, 18 years old. My brain was still growing, but now it started growing in a way that it was addicting to food, just like people addict to drugs, just like people addict to alcohol. And so it grew to that. That's the way my brain started designing itself, that's what was acceptable for me. I didn't know that at the time, but that was where my life was headed because of the traumas, because of the way that I handled things, and turned to food. Okay. So all that to say, I didn't think she was going to be able to help me, but things did make sense after I talked to her for a while. We dug into some things. We talked about the triggers, and it was hard. But knowing what some of those triggers are now helps me so much. And so she put me on a treatment plan. And she said, the first thing I have to do is to really remember that obesity is a disease, that I have a disease, and I need to think of it that way. So when people come up to me now and they say, Kim, you look great. What did you do? What's your diet? I won't even tell them. I'll shrug it off, because I'm not going to say, it was this diet, or I'm not going to say, oh, I used so-and-so, or I'm just not. It's not that easy. What I'm saying is, it's a disease that I have called obesity, and I'm getting treatment for that right now. And that's what's happened to me, because that's the truth. That's the truth. We got all my vitals and all my information from the first time that I walked in, and my weight and body fat percentage and all that. She put me on a plan with some medications, and that took its toll on me for a little bit. That management time took its toll. We got sick at times. I got where I had the jitters for a while, which was hard. It was during my presidency at NC Shape and part of Shape America. It made me stutter. Some of that still exists. And it just was hard. I had to ask for help at times, and that was hard, but it was working. And I could stop or I could keep going. And I kept going because I was actually finding the person inside all the fat. I was finding me. And so with physical activity, with learning about the behavior therapy that I needed to do, how to get out of my, strict, anxiety paralyzation that I had sometimes, what kinds of things that I needed to do as far as, my nutritional interventions and not beating myself up. What kind of physical activity I was going to have to do, because it was different. It was different because of the medications that I was taking and this toll on my body and the proteins that it took from my muscles. And so I didn't have any kind of, surgeries or anything like that, but I did have medicational help. And it wasn't one thing. And it's not something that I'm only going to do once, and it's going to be done. I'll probably be on it the rest of my life, just like people with diabetes or other things. And I truly believe it has to do with our A1 because it came from there. And you're going to see a lot more about this Wegovy and those, because they are finding more and more out about it. I used to drink a whole lot. And again, once I started taking, it was a pill medication, in addition to everything. It was, like I said, it wasn't one thing. Well, Wegovy, I don't know that was the main thing even. It was part of it with other medications that work together for my body. But there was a medicine that I was taking that worked on the neurostasis in my brain, like the part that would drive me before crazy, the addiction part. Once I got that in my system, the next day, I never felt that addiction again, ever. I just haven't felt it again. It showed me that it wasn't my fault. It wasn't me just being weak, that addiction can be helped. And you don't know how good that felt. You don't know how good it is to be free of that disappointment in yourself, and just to start feeling better about yourself because you can say no to some things, finally. And I was beginning to get on the level playing field like most people, where I could do something for myself because my body was transforming a little. The obesity and weight management certification is what these people are taking. And it's a team. It's a team of people that work with me. It's not one person, and it's not one thing. There are several different kinds of medications that we work through that I have to take, and there's still therapy that I take. And there's still times where I fall back a little bit. But I also realize that this is going to be me the rest of my life. Is it worth it? Yes. Do we know all the answers from the medications? No. Would I do it again anyway? Yes. You know why? Because I found myself again. I can now look at myself in the mirror. I can now look in my eyes, where I couldn't do that for over 30 years. My whole career, I've been fat. I've been obese. I look back now and I don't have any pictures of me that are smaller than at least overweight to obese, and various sizes of obesity. My whole life. So if I can help one person, or just anybody that can, think about going to see about getting help for you, your child, looking into the research, anything like that, Please do. Anybody can't get this drugs anyway. You can't, it's not a quick drug. It's not something you take and lose weight and get off of. That's what people think. And that's why I won't talk about it to just anybody. Patients with obesity that have a greater BMI of 30%. And I did. Mine was over 42%. And people that are overweight can get in it, but people that are overweight really can. They have beginning stages of hypertension and some of those things. So you can get back to where you want to be at that place. You can get back to not having to do this the rest of your life. But for me, the anti-obesity medications will be for me probably the rest of my life. Everyone's not the same. We're all different. So who knows what it'll be for you? This is a list of some of the FDA approved anti-obesity medications. So it's not just one. There's not just one kind. That's because we hear about certain ones in the news. And the ones we're hearing about, you're going to hear more and more every day. Keep your ears open, because now they're even looking at it now for addiction and how they're starting to find the ways that it can help stop addictions. Do you think I wouldn't use it for that? I did. The different medications together brought me back to me. And so there's different things. I don't take the majority of these, but they may be for you. So you have to go and talk to your doctor about it. And if you're at obesity age or range right now, then go see your doctor. Just go talk to them. Ask them, about all of this. But how do you get it? How do you get there? You have to know that obesity is a chronic disease. You have to believe that and know that with your heart, and that it's not your fault. And that you can work into tandem with medication, and you got to believe that, to help change your life. And that it works in tandem with therapy, that it's not alone. And that a disease that you'll treat the rest of your life. Some of the studies I looked at just for fun, I looked from a NIH study who's looking at this very closely. With anti-diabetic medications and showing the weight loss that people are using. And NIH is really surprised too at what we're getting. And are there side effects? Yes. But look at a bottle of Tylenol the next time you go in the store. It's got side effects too. They have to tell us the side effects. They have to, for lawsuit things. And that's what we stick to. But no, some side effects I had, a lot I didn't. I don't have any other issues. And once I got the medication to an even kill, I haven't had any issues since. And then I wanted to know how it affects us in school. So I looked up an article and found a really good one about secondary PE bias. And then I want to help you find a place. So get your phones ready to do a scan of the last slide if you want to find a place to go. Secondary PE one was really interesting because it showed that we were, as physical education teachers, likely to have an anti-fat bias, but not much different than our colleagues, for sure, and that we needed to try to adopt some sort of way to help our students with that lack of PA that our students show, and that how we want to make sure that we're not showing those biases for the student that finishes last, or having things set up for those students to not be successful. And consider the likelihood of existence of non-traditional forms of prejudice and set up the classroom for their kind of intervention. So there are articles out there to my physical educators. Go look for them. Look for them in your grade level. Look for them under Google Scholar. Look for them in journals that you're a part of. Look this up and see what people are saying and see what people are studying, and see how sometimes we don't know what we're doing. It's unintended consequences, but we got to find out and we got to look at it hard. And one thing we want to make sure that I tell you that are out there that are obese right now, it's not your fault. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. And if you love yourself at least that little bit, like I did that day, to walk in and get some help, even if I just fell on the floor and said, I'm done, do it. Just do it. Stop comparing yourself to others. Work to stop that self-doubt. It takes work. I'm still working on it. It's been 2 years. Make yourself look in yourself in the eyes. Make yourself do it. See yourself again and celebrate yourself. Fill your tank. You have to. And then change your mindset that you are not worthless, that we are worthy of love, no matter what my size is. And you know what I found was mainly it was more me than anybody else. People loved me. They didn't care what size I was. They loved me just the same. Half of them don't even remember what I looked like now, back then. But you know what? I did. And my self-esteem's damaged. And this is about me. And this is about you. And this is about us feeling worthy and feeling strong and feeling beautiful and smart and capable again of feeling, achieving something that's better for the world, better for us. So take your phone and look for obesity medicine board certified teachers. You can look at your health insurance plan, their directory to find an obesity care provider in your network. You can also go to medicare.gov to find a provider that accepts Medicare if you're in that age category. Or you can go to the Obesity Medicine Association at obesitymedicine.org and look for someone in your area. So you can scan this. I'll leave it up here for a few minutes to find someone. It'll take you directly to this obesitymedicine.org website, and you can begin to look to start your journey to heal your inside as well. Obesity is a chronic disease, but it brings me back to an even playing field with others that don't have it. Yes, I may have to take medicine for the rest of my life, but I now can be in the same world and wear some of the same clothes and feel some of the same ways that I used to. And I hope that you will too. I really do hope that these videos have helped you a little bit because they're making me scared to death. But if it did, good. Just need one. Just need one of you. And I'd love to hear about it if you did and when you do. And just know it takes time. And you won't have another yo-yo diet ever. You won't have it. So if you're ready to give up, you're ready to take that chance for an obesity doctor to go get the physically doctor help, medicational help that you need. Again, we're talking about obesity. We're not talking about overweight. We're not talking about just being overweight. You can't do this with just 10 or 15 pounds. That's not for you. I lost 155 pounds in over 2 years. And I lost a lot of muscle as well. I lost a lot of protein out of my muscle. I'm having to eat a lot more protein. I'm having to eat differently. I'm having to walk and work differently. That's okay. I'll get there. I'm still working myself, but I'll get there. And so will you. Because once you see that it's working, and once you get through some of those side effects and you just keep pulling through it, keep going through it, you come out on the other side like you can't even believe it. I went to the store to get some new clothes and I was like, oh, I need some new jeans. That's the first time I was buying new clothes, right? I went straight to the large plus sizes to get a smaller size of plus. The person with me said, you don't need to go there anymore. I was like, no way I can fit in anything else. And they went and got a pair of skinny jeans, which I laughed at. And I put the first pair on and they were too big. I put the second pair on and they fit just right. I looked at myself in amazement. I didn't believe it. I walked out of there not believing it. It seemed like I was in a movie. That's because our brains and our minds have been so, brainwashed to who we are in 34 years of being fat and buying obese clothes. It does a lot to you. And I know there's some of you out there that it's doing a lot to too. Dr. Davis saved my life. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that'll save yours too. Thank you for paying attention. Celebrate today. Don't forget March 4th as National Obesity Day, the World Obesity Day, and celebrate this week all you can to provide knowledge and information and help me spread the word that obesity is a chronic disease and we have to take care of it. And it's not us being lazy. It's not us. It is a disease that we have to take care of, okay? I love you. Thanks for staying with me this week and this long. Thank you.